says, and I am Ecuadorian American. If it super fun fact. I'm an engineering lead and founder of Tech Violet, where we build beautiful mobile-first apps. Today I'm going to be sharing with you how to do local data storage using Drift, which is a very handy package. The agenda for today, we're going to be talking about data locality generally, then the Drift package and the demo, specifically the Drift package, then some pros and cons of data locality and the Drift package specifically, and then some more options and resources for you. Who do you trust with your data? These are just a couple of apps that I really like to use that use local data storage to build trust with their customers. A little bit about data locality. Why go local? Having spotty internet access can make it hard to access and store your data, and sometimes that can be important for us. Then also storing local might be efficient for you depending on your project, and then there's some inherent trust in just storing stuff on device and then not ever leaving your device. The Drift package is really a wrapper of SQLite. So a little bit about SQLite. It's a direct file system, so there's no need for a server. It's lightweight, usually just takes a few kilobytes to store, depending on whatever you're storing. And then it's also in the public domain, so no need for licensing fees and stuff like that to be able to use it. So the Drift package, some highlights. It's cross-platform, available on iOS, Android, the web, and also desktop applications. As always, you can build your own classes and data types, but it's really nice when stuff comes out of the bag, and we're going to be going into that a little bit. It's fully null safe. Also, as we're going to see today, it's easy and fast to set up. We're going to see also a package that's very handy to generate code for us to avoid boilerplate code. And it also supports stream queries, which we're going to see why that can be very helpful. Supported data types. Something that I like with Drift is that it does, out of the package, support booleans and datetime. I use those often, so for me it's important. And then it supports more than that out of the box, for example, events, which can matter to you. Getting into Drift. Today I'm going to show you how to easily use the Drift package in your Flutter app. It can be done in just as easily as these five steps. The Drift demo. First, I'm going to show you what we're going to be building. We have a text field in this app. It just supports a string, which write hi. With this button, with the check mark, we can store things in our database, and we are consuming this stream, so it will automatically fill it up for us. Something really cool that I want to show you. This is for debug only, of course, but this check database button, it's very handy. It is a database viewer that you can use right on your simulator. So you don't need an external database viewer to see what's in your database. So here you can see what we're currently seeing in our list view. If you click here, it supports as many tables as you create. Today we're just creating one for to-dos. And here you can see the to-dos that we have in our database. Isn't that amazing? So of course you would delete this for production, but for debug it's amazing. And this is just a quick to-do app. For starters, you would choose your state management tool. Something that I just want to point out here is that we're going to be using Riverpod today. Riverpod supports auto-dispose on your providers. If you are using a different state management tool, it's totally fine, but be mindful of the life cycles of your providers or your database whenever you want to make sure you dispose of things and they're not open when you're not using them. Then you want to create your dependencies. That check database button belongs to this Drift DB viewer right here. That's why I really like that package. Then Flutter slidable, we're going to be using just a sliding option to delete, to use that prod method, the delete method. method in our database. And then build runner is the dependency that generates code for us. So that is something that we also want to take advantage of. Now we're going to go into VS Code to show you what that looks like. So first we want to create this Drift database file. We first import our Drift packages, then we create our data model. Today we're just, we always need an ID when creating databases because we want to be able to point to whatever to do you're referring to. And then content is just the string that it takes. Then this is where we're opening the connection. And then here is when we're creating our database. We're using our opener connection. And I also want to draw your attention to this. If you don't use schema version, you will be able to create your database. But in my opinion, it is a big no-no because this will make it so that you can never make any changes to your database. So please use schema version. That way, whenever you make any changes, you can just update it and it'll preserve the data of your users whenever this is in production. Then all you need to do is to run this command right here. Once you have that, and it'll generate all this code for you. So drift db.g is the generated file. This was generated by that package that we talked about. And it is all this code for free, courtesy of the Drift package. And then once we have all of that, we can use all of this information to create our CRUD queries, or whatever you, our CRUD queries is what we're using today, but whatever way that you want to interact with your database, you can use it here. And something that I want to draw your attention to is insert new companion to do. So companions is something that you're going to need to use if in the Drift package you want to use the auto increment on the ID, which I recommend that you don't do that manually when you can just do it automatically using a companion. And watch all to-dos is what we're going to be using streams, sorry. So that way we can use it in a list view with a builder so that it can auto update for us. If we delete something or if we create something new, it'll show it up on our list view, which we definitely want to do. And then just delete to do. So now we're going to the fun stuff of how we're going to use this. So this is the code for this list view right here. So we're going to be using just delete to do to delete them. By the way, this is what I forgot to show you. It's slidable. You will just slide them, delete. And I just want to show you all how it is also updated in our database, just as it is updated in our table. So we are going to be using the stream where we watch all the to-dos, and since we're using Stream Builder, this is just how you consume that data. Just remember, whenever you're consuming data, you want to handle when you get data, when you get errors, and then when you're idle. So that is what this code is. We're going kind of fast because this is a lightning talk, but don't worry, we'll have a GitHub with all of this information available. And then this is how we're consuming the data, and then how we're deleting them. Oh, actually, that's over here, sorry. So citable action is right here if we get the data, so that is what we're showing right now, because we do have data. And this is that package that I told you about, citable Flutter package. And just with this piece of code, that is what's powering all of this, updates our database and everything. And now we go to our home page, which supports our text fields and our save button. So right here, I wrote how to use the save button. We just move in the context of the database, which we're using our provider for that. This is our save button action method, and we're just using the new companion to do, which again is the one that auto updates your ID. And that is about all that we need to do to update Drift. So we talked about some pros, of course, of using Drift as we were talking about this, but what about some cons? So something that I have found, just common third-party mishaps if you're familiar with Flutter, it's Flutter or any other technology, but as always, you want to try to not depend too much on too many third-party libraries. So that is something for you to consider if it's worth the cost. Then maintenance, of course, like with any other package, you need to think about maintaining it. What happens whenever we have a new Flutter update or update for Drift. You have to keep that in mind. Then also, to the best of my knowledge, you can't encrypt this information. So that is something to consider depending on what kind of data you're storing. And also on-device storage, as much as it can be a good thing, it can also be a terrible thing. Because what if your customer loses their phone? All their data is lost if it's not in the cloud. So that is something else to consider. Some more options, there's SQLite. That is another wrapper of SQLite. It's available also in flutter.dev. That can be very helpful. I have never used it though, so I can't recommend it specifically, but just because I haven't used it, I usually go with Drift. Then we also have shared preferences. Shared preferences should be used for only that. It's a key value pair storage. You don't want to store a bunch of data in there. Sembas, that's a NoSQL database, if that's your thing. Their file storage is a package that can be used if you have something larger to store. If for some reason you want to store it on the device, you might want to think about the cloud if you have something very large to store for your customers. And then there's SQLite, if you want to go very bare bones. That QR code right there, by the way, if you want to scan it, it is an article, a blog post that has all of the stuff that we have talked about today, including the GitHub repo and all the external information that you'll need. So that is how Drift can help make your app safe, fast, and reactive. These are just a few ways to contact me. Again, here's the QR code. And this information is available on that Dev2 article that I mentioned, the blog post. So you can find it on there. I am valerianagit in most of the internet. Thank you so much for joining me. This is the same QR code. Today we're going to have also a little scavenger hunt throughout the seats. In the back of the seats, you might find that there are some colorful little tags. If you find one, then you may score yourself something fun. If it's not on your own seat, you can still grab it if you see it. So I see one winner right over there. So come on over to grab your prize. So we have 3 things. We have the famous Dart plushie. This is number 1. We have a Flutter t-shirt is number 2, and then we also have a bag, a Flutter bag, that is number 3. So let's see the tickets. Number 3, yay! Woo! Woo! Congrats! Here's your t-shirt. Thank you. Ta-da-da. The ever so difficult to get Dart plushie. Yes. Thank you, everyone.